Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling uneasy, confused, or even starting to doubt your own decisions? Have you ever agreed to do something you initially had no intention of doing, or found yourself wondering why you feel like you're in the wrong, even though you did nothing wrong? If any of this sounds familiar, it's very likely that you've become the target of subtle manipulation, tactics cleverly designed to control your emotions, decisions, and even how you perceive yourself, without you even realizing it. In today's video, we'll explore 10 signs of subtle manipulation you may encounter in daily relationships, how to identify them, the impact they can have, and most importantly, how to protect yourself from such manipulation. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to us. Thank you for your support. Let's begin with the first sign, emotional manipulation. It is one of the most subtle yet hardest to detect forms of manipulation. This is when someone deliberately exploits your emotions, such as fear, guilt, or even love, to control your actions without you realizing it. They don't need to force or directly order you. They simply pull the emotional strings at the right moment to make you willingly follow their desires. For example, you might have heard a friend say, "If you really care about me, you'll do this for me." Or in a work setting, a boss might imply, "I'm not sure if the company will still need you if you don't complete this project as I expect." These statements are often very subtle, not overtly coercive, but they plant feelings of anxiety, doubt, and ultimately a sense of responsibility to meet their demands. In reality, they make you question your self-worth or feel selfish for prioritizing your own needs. You get trapped in a spiral of negative emotions, blaming yourself, striving to please others, and ultimately, you act not because you want to, but because you feel pressured. How to protect yourself? Firstly, listen to and recognize your own emotions. When faced with a request, ask yourself, am I doing this because it truly feels right to me, or am I doing it because I feel pressured? Asking such questions will help you identify the motivation behind your decisions. Secondly, learn to say no firmly without feeling guilty. Setting boundaries does not mean being selfish. It is a way to protect your mental health and autonomy. Remember, your emotions and needs are just as important as anyone else's. Lastly, build confidence and don't let the fear of hurting others influence your decisions. Once you understand your self-worth, it will be easier to escape the cycle of manipulation and take control of your life. Sign 2. Broken promises. Broken promises are a common manipulation tactic often used by cunning individuals to build trust, only to disappoint you repeatedly. They say things that sound like promising the world, but when it comes time to act, all you receive are excuses or silence. Imagine this situation. A colleague voluntarily takes on a responsibility, promising, "Leave it to me. Don't worry, I'll take care of it." But when the deadline arrives, instead of results, you get responses like, "I forgot," or "I've been too busy. Can you finish it for me?" Promises come easily, but when actions don't match, you're stuck in a cycle of hope and disappointment. This is precisely a tool of psychological manipulation. They create a cycle of false hope. Manipulators make promises just to keep you around, making you continue to invest your trust in them. Over time, you tell yourself, maybe this time will be different. But the reality is, if they've let you down many times before, they're likely to do so again. Repeated unfulfilled promises not only waste your time and energy, but also make you doubt your worth. Am I expecting too much? How to protect yourself? Firstly, focus on actions, not words. A quick promise doesn't necessarily mean genuine commitment. Observe their actions instead of being persuaded by flowery words. For example, if someone consistently makes promises but never follows through, don't keep hoping they'll change. Secondly, adjust your expectations. If you've recognized someone as a habitual promise breaker, Limit entrusting them with important tasks or placing too much faith in them. Instead, focus on those who have proven reliability through consistent actions. For instance, if a colleague always misses deadlines, take note and delegate critical tasks to someone with a more consistent track record. Finally, learn to set boundaries. You have the right to demand clarity and accountability. Don't hesitate to ask questions when they make promises. Specifically, when will you do this? I need a clear commitment so we can coordinate better. If they evade, that's a sign to adjust how you deal with them. Remember, you deserve relationships and collaborations that are trustworthy. Broken promises not only waste your time, but also diminish your value in the relationship. Don't get stuck in the cycle of disappointment. Instead, place your trust in concrete actions, not empty words. Sign 3. Guilt manipulation. Guilt manipulation is a subtle tactic that makes you feel responsible for someone else's issues, choices, or emotions. This method forces you to act not out of genuine desire, but because you feel obligated to make amends. For instance, you might have heard phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," or "I thought you cared about me, but clearly I was wrong." These statements are aimed at instilling guilt, making you feel insensitive, disrespectful, or insufficient, even when that's not the reality. Manipulators rely on your good nature, your kindness, empathy, and sense of responsibility to make you feel obliged to meet their expectations. When you don't comply, they make you feel like the bad person or heartless. This not only pressures you, but also undermines your self-confidence, leading you to act as they wish just to alleviate the guilt. How to protect yourself? Firstly, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly want to, or because I feel I must to avoid guilt? The moment you pose this question, you'll realize whether your decision is driven by pressure. This helps you separate feelings of guilt from your actions. Secondly, remember that you are not responsible for other people's emotions. Everyone must take responsibility for their own actions and feelings. Your refusal doesn't make you wrong, and their sadness or disappointment doesn't mean it's your fault. Lastly, set clear boundaries. If someone tries to manipulate you through guilt, respond with empathy, but remain firm. I understand you're upset, but I have my own reasons, and I hope you can understand. This respects their feelings while reinforcing your stance. Don't let guilt control your life. Prioritizing your own needs and emotions isn't selfish. It's a way to protect your mental health and maintain autonomy. Guilt manipulation only works if you allow it. Once you recognize and overcome it, you'll regain control and build relationships based on respect and equality. Sign 4. One-sided relationships. One-sided relationships are a subtle yet very common form of manipulation in life. This is when you are always the one giving your time, care, listening ear, and even emotional energy, while the other person only takes without giving anything in return. Imagine this. You're always there whenever your friend needs you, listening to their problems, helping them solve issues, or even postponing your plans just to help them through a tough time. But when you need someone to lean on, they disappear or excuse themselves by saying they're busy. You feel abandoned and wonder, what did I do wrong? The truth is, the problem isn't you. It's how the relationship operates. Over time, such a relationship not only disrupts balance, but also drains your emotional energy. You start to feel used, unappreciated, and sometimes even inadequate. The worst part is, if you don't recognize the issue early on, you'll keep investing time and emotions into a relationship that doesn't offer equal value. The manipulator in this type of relationship often doesn't directly demand things, but cleverly creates a sense that you're obligated to help them. You think you're doing the right thing, But in reality, you're being pulled into a cycle of giving without ever receiving in return. How to protect yourself? Firstly, establish clear boundaries. A healthy relationship requires balance, and you have the right to say no if you feel you're being taken advantage of. For instance, if this friend repeatedly asks for help without ever reciprocating, gently but firmly say, "I'm dealing with my own matters. Perhaps you could try handling this yourself this time." This isn't being heartless. It's a way to protect your energy and value. Secondly, communicate openly and honestly. If you feel the relationship is unbalanced, don't hesitate to share your feelings. Say, "I always try to be there when you need me, but sometimes I also need support from you. Can we make this more balanced?" A true friend will understand and be willing to change. If not, that's a sign to reevaluate the value of the relationship. Lastly, remember that relationships should be a two-way street, not a dead end. Whether it's friendship, love, or any other type of relationship, mutual effort and empathy are essential. If you consistently find yourself stuck in a one-sided relationship, consider dedicating your time to people who truly appreciate you. You deserve relationships that bring mutual value, where you are heard, respected, and supported. Don't let yourself get trapped in relationships that leave you feeling drained and undervalued. By setting boundaries, communicating honestly, and focusing on healthy relationships, you'll not only protect yourself, but also create space for people who truly care about you. Sign 5. Isolation tactics. Isolation tactics are among the most dangerous manipulation strategies. Manipulators don't just seek to control you, they intentionally try to sever your important relationships with family, friends, or colleagues, so you become increasingly dependent on them. Imagine a partner saying to you, "Your family doesn't really care about you like I do. If they truly loved you, they wouldn't make you feel so upset." At first, you might feel comforted, but over time, you realize they are planting seeds of doubt, gradually distancing you from other important people in your life. Manipulators often begin by sowing seeds of doubt in your mind. They make you feel like those around you don't understand or genuinely care about you. Gradually, you start to feel isolated, believing that only they truly empathize with you. As you fall deeper into this cycle, your support network starts to disappear. You have no one left to share with, challenge, or seek help from, and as a result, you become entirely dependent on the manipulator. At this point, they control both your emotions and decisions, leaving you feeling as though you have no other choice. How to protect yourself? Firstly, maintain connections with trustworthy family and friends. When someone tries to sow doubt about your relationships, ask yourself, what have these loved ones actually done wrong? Or is this feeling simply a result of someone else's words? Don't rush to cut ties based on a few negative comments. Secondly, trust your instincts. If you sense that someone is exerting too much control over you or trying to isolate you, it's time to pause and evaluate. Ask yourself, does this relationship make me stronger or weaker? Trust your feelings, as instincts are often the first signals that something isn't right. Lastly, set clear boundaries. If the person tries to prevent you from seeing family or friends, gently but firmly say, "Family and friends are an important part of my life. I hope you can respect that." You don't need to argue or over-explain, simply assert your perspective clearly. Remember, those who genuinely care about you will encourage you to build and maintain positive relationships, not make you feel isolated. By keeping a strong support network and listening to yourself, you not only protect yourself, but also create space for healthy, loving, and truly valuable relationships. Sign 6. Over-the-top flattery. Over-the-top flattery is a subtle form of manipulation that uses compliments to lower your guard. These compliments may initially make you feel appreciated and valued, but in reality, they are often used as a sweet trap to exploit your kindness. Imagine a colleague approaches you with a beaming smile and says, "You're the only one capable of handling this project. I can't think of anyone better than you." This compliment seems to highlight your excellence, but later you realize they just wanted to shift their work onto you. You take on the responsibility with pride, but when the project is complete, they reap the benefits while you're left exhausted. Manipulators know that everyone loves being praised. They use this to disarm you, making you feel special or obligated to reciprocate. These compliments are often vague or unnaturally repetitive. For example, they might say, "You always do everything perfectly," or "No one can handle this better than you." But soon after, they attach a request, making it hard for you to decline without tarnishing your good image in their eyes. This tactic works by exploiting your pride and need for recognition. You feel compelled to live up to the image they've painted of you, but in reality, this isn't genuine recognition. It's a tool they use to achieve their own personal gains. How to protect yourself? Firstly, distinguish between genuine compliments and purposeful flattery. Genuine compliments are often specific, focusing on an actual achievement or quality of yours. For example, "I was really impressed with how you solved that problem yesterday. Your approach was very creative." In contrast, excessive flattery tends to be vague and paired with a request. If you hear repetitive compliments that lack specific details, be cautious. Secondly, always ask yourself, does this compliment come with strings attached? If a compliment immediately leads to a request, question whether it's truly sincere. For example, if a colleague says, "You're the best in this team, so I think you should handle this entire task," pause and evaluate, is this really a compliment or just a way for them to avoid responsibility? Lastly, learn to say no without feeling guilty. Declining doesn't mean you're incompetent or ungrateful. You can respond politely but firmly. "I appreciate your confidence in me, but I think this task requires contributions from the whole team rather than just me." This allows you to maintain your boundaries while remaining professional. Remember, true compliments never come with strings attached. Don't let flattery catch you off guard and lead you into taking on responsibilities that aren't yours. You don't need to prove your worth by saying yes to every request. By recognizing the difference between genuine praise and manipulative tactics, you'll protect your time, energy, and self-worth. Sign 7. Topic shifting. Topic shifting is a subtle manipulation tactic used by those who want to avoid accountability. When confronted about their actions or mistakes, they don't respond directly. Instead, they steer the conversation in another direction to evade responsibility or confuse you. Imagine you ask, "Why didn't you complete the work on time?" Instead of answering, they immediately say, "Why are you always criticizing me? You never reflect on yourself." As a result, the original issue is ignored, and the conversation shifts to you having to defend yourself rather than holding them accountable. Manipulators use this tactic to distract and disorient you. They shift from the actual issue to personal emotions, forcing you to explain or justify yourself. This not only diverts you from your initial goal, but also makes you feel guilty, causing you to back down or give in more easily. How to protect yourself? Firstly, stay focused on the main point of the conversation. When you notice the other person attempting to shift the topic, use phrases like, "I understand how you feel, but let's return to the main issue we're discussing." This helps you avoid getting sidetracked by emotions and keeps the conversation under your control. Secondly, don't get drawn into personal emotions. Manipulators often use words that make you feel guilty or defensive, but don't let them achieve their goal. Stay calm and focus on the facts. For example, if they say, "You make me feel inadequate," you can respond, "I don't want you to feel that way. but we still need to address this issue. Lastly, set boundaries if necessary. If they persist in avoiding the issue, you have the right to end the conversation. Say something like, "If we can't focus on the main issue, perhaps we should stop this discussion for now." This demonstrates that you are serious and won't tolerate manipulative behavior. Manipulators will always try to avoid responsibility, but you don't have to play by their rules. Stand your ground, stay focused on your goals, and don't let emotions derail you. Remember, being straightforward and respecting yourself not only protects you, but also fosters relationships based on honesty and equality. Sign 8. Logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are a tactic often used by manipulators to exert psychological pressure on you. These are arguments that sound reasonable but lack solid foundations, primarily aimed at manipulating your emotions or loyalty. Imagine a colleague saying, "If you don't support this proposal, it's clear you don't care about the team's success." This statement puts you in a difficult position, making you feel that if you disagree, you'll be seen as selfish or uncaring. In reality, this is a false dilemma, where they intentionally present only two options. Either you agree or you don't care, even though there are many other possibilities they ignore. Manipulators often exploit emotions such as guilt, loyalty, or fear to pressure you into agreeing with them. Instead of focusing on the actual issue, they lead you into ambiguous or coercive situations, making you feel like you have no other choice. Common types of logical fallacies include false dilemma, presenting two extreme options while ignoring other alternatives. Ad hominem, attacking the person instead of addressing the issue. Appeal to fear, using fear to persuade, even though the fear is often baseless. How to protect yourself. When you hear an argument that makes you feel coerced or cornered, pause and ask yourself, is this argument truly logical? Are there other options being deliberately left out? One effective way to counter a fallacy is to ask for clarification or expansion. For example, if someone says, "If you don't agree, you don't care about the team," you can respond, "Why does disagreeing mean I don't care? Are there other ways to address this?" This question forces them to confront the illogical nature of their argument. Manipulators often target emotions to sway you. Don't get caught up in feelings of guilt or fear. Redirect the conversation to facts and objective data. When you identify a fallacy, don't hesitate to stand your ground. You can say, "I want to explore other options before making a decision," rather than limiting myself to just these two choices. This approach helps you escape the emotional pressure they are trying to impose. Remember, arguments that sound convincing can sometimes be sophisticated emotional traps. By learning to recognize fallacies, asking questions, and maintaining your stance, you not only protect your freedom to think, but also build confidence in communication and decision-making. Finally, always question arguments that seem overly forceful. A logical argument is based on facts and reason, not emotions or fear. When you control your thinking, no one can manipulate you. Sign 9. Information overload. This is a sophisticated manipulation tactic designed to make you feel overwhelmed and out of control. The manipulator bombards you with a flood of information, statistics, or data, making it impossible for you to focus on the core issue. In this state of confusion, you are more likely to concede just to escape the frustration. Imagine a meeting where a colleague defends their plan by constantly firing off complex statistics and data, leaving you no time to analyze. You feel overwhelmed because you can't grasp everything. Instead of debating or questioning, you end up agreeing. Not because you trust the idea, but because you lack the energy to keep arguing. Information overload works by drowning you in a storm of data that you don't have the time or tools to process. This not only disorients you, but also makes you more likely to hand over control to the person manipulating you. They exploit your fatigue and confusion to steer the conversation in their favor. This tactic often appears in meetings, debates, or when someone tries to sell you an idea or product. For example, based on 27 recent surveys, we found that 85% of users prefer this solution. Furthermore, with over 300 data points analyzed from Report X, there's no better option. This barrage leaves you no time to assess each piece of information logically. How to protect yourself. Pause and breathe. When overwhelmed with too much information, take a moment to calm yourself. You don't need to respond immediately. Remind yourself that feeling overloaded is normal in such situations. Analyze the information piece by piece. Don't get swept up in the entire storm of data. Break it down into smaller parts and focus on one or two key points. For instance, if someone presents a series of statistics, you can ask, among all these numbers, what is the most important point we need to focus on? This helps you regain control and avoid being misled. Ask clarifying questions. Pose simple, direct questions to pinpoint the main issue. For example, can you explain how this data specifically relates to the main problem? This not only helps clarify the information, but also makes it harder for the manipulator to continue their tactics. Don't make decisions hastily. If you feel overwhelmed, request more time to evaluate. You can say, "This is a lot of information, and I need time to review it carefully before making a decision." This helps you avoid mistakes caused by rushing. Remember, being bombarded with information doesn't mean you have to lose control. You have the right to ask for time to think, analyze, and question. By learning to break down information and focus on the essentials, you not only protect yourself from manipulation, but also strengthen your decision-making skills. In a world filled with data and information, the ability to filter out what truly matters is the key to maintaining your stance and autonomy. Don't let the information storm derail you. Stay calm and focus on what's genuinely important. Sign 10. D is appearing when you need them. This describes people who are present only when things are easy, enjoyable, or beneficial for them, but vanish without a trace when you face difficulties and truly need support. Imagine having a friend who is always ready to join parties, trips, or other fun occasions. But when you need their help in a tough situation, such as seeking important advice or comfort, they're always too busy or come up with excuses. When they return, usually after your problem has passed, you might feel both relieved and grateful for their presence, even though they left you alone during your most critical moments. This behavior creates a cycle of abandonment and return, keeping you constantly waiting and hoping for their presence. Over time, it can make you doubt yourself, wondering if you're asking too much or if you're undeserving of support. However, the truth is that a healthy relationship doesn't operate this way. People who truly care about you are there not only during good times, but also when you need help the most, even in your darkest moments. How to protect yourself from this behavior? Firstly, recognize it. Pay attention to people who show up only when things are easy but are absent during your struggles. If you notice this behavior repeating, with seemingly reasonable but inconsistent excuses, it's a clear warning sign. Secondly, evaluate the value of this relationship. A meaningful relationship is not built solely on joyful moments, but is tested and strengthened during difficult times. Ask yourself, can I rely on this person? Do they genuinely care about me, or only when it's convenient for them? To avoid getting hurt, surround yourself with reliable people, those who are there not just for the good times, but also stand by you during tough ones. Dedicate your time and energy to relationships that are truly supportive and reciprocal. The people who are always there for you, whether in success or failure, are the ones worth keeping in your life. If you realize someone intentionally disappears when you need them, set boundaries and express your feelings. Don't be afraid to communicate directly. For example, "I've noticed that you're often not there when I need support, and it makes me feel abandoned. Can we work on changing this?" If they truly care, they will make an effort to adjust their behavior. If not, that's the clearest answer about the true value of the relationship. Sincere relationships don't just shine in the light of success, but endure through the darkness of challenges. You deserve friends, partners, or loved ones who stand by you through every turn of life. Remember, your worth is not determined by whether others show their care. You deserve fulfilling relationships where you receive consistent support and feel loved and respected. Always choose to keep those who recognize your value, not only when it suits them. Thank you for joining me today. If you find this content helpful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Your support is the greatest motivation for us to continue delivering meaningful and valuable content. Stay strong, wise, and steadfast on your own path. See you in the next videos.